morning, everyone. How are you this morning? Good. My name is Jillian Flowers, and I am the liaison for District 17 if we haven't had a chance to meet yet. I do have some fabulous teammates in the room with me today. Natalie is in the back, and she is an additional resource for you. And then we have our planner in the back who's videoing us. So I did want to let you know we are filming today for those that can't be with us, and we'll be able to provide a link on the website. So even if you say, hey, I forget what she said, you can go back to it later. And then I have Abby here with me from OPWC, so if I can't answer a question, she can. All right, so how many in the room have applied for an OPWC grant before? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you have not? You're new to this. Are you feeling afraid? Are you feeling nervous? Great, you shouldn't be. So the goals of today are to really just understand the application process, review a sample application. I did put a road application in there for you to refer to because roads are maybe a little easier. We'll discuss the checklist of items, general self-scoring tips, and then we'll talk about the meeting schedule and the application due dates. Plus, I want you to ask questions. I want it to be interactive. There's a chance that the folks that can't be with us today, your question might answer their question. So, let's get into it. Okay, so this is our allocation. This is all in your green folder. This is what our estimated allocation is. We're District 17 right here. So, this is what we go off of for our different projects. And here's our checklist. So, you will want these before you ever turn in your grant application. If you're familiar with grant applications, then you'll know this is like gold. You'll probably check it 3, 4, and 5 times if you're like me. So the application itself, I did not print off for you, okay? It is on the website. If you need a printed copy, please see me and we can print one off for you. You'll need a certified copy of legislation by your governing body, certification from the applicant's chief financial officer. So whoever in your municipality is responsible for the finances, that's who's going to want to sign off on it. You're going to need a professional engineer to stamp your application. Useful life is the biggest thing that we're going to look at for your project. Cost estimate, that's pretty standard. Let's see. Something that's different, Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, we're the only district that still does a 5-year capital improvement summary. So our district, our executive committee and integrating committee feel that that is still something important district-wide because it shows that your community has a plan. So that's something that we want to see. Water and sewer rates for all water and sewer projects. There are some examples in your packet there. Narrative form, who's going to benefit from your project. If you have a road project, then you're going to want traffic counts and all those kinds of good things. So there are some items that are applicable, that may be applicable. In kind, sometimes we have, other agencies that help. Photos. If you have I've had this question already, multi-jurisdictional agreement. So the only difference with that is that one community is going to take the lead on that. You're going to have a cooperative agreement, and you're going to have the same legislation saying that this is your grant application, okay? So what that means is if you have a road that's in 2 different townships or whatever, you're going to have to agree this is our project, okay? Floodplain permit if that's required, and a funding commitment letter with a match of funds. Let's say your community is using CDBG, EPA, or OWDA funds. That's something that we're going to require there. By the way, there's a lot of Knox County people in here. So I kind of felt like I was in Knox County this morning. Okay, so this is just the front page of what your application looks like. Again, I did not include this in your folder today, but just so you had an understanding of what it looks like. And then there is instructions for financial assistance. So in an effort to kind of save paper, I went ahead and put a sample application in there. And then if you need this, then you can refer to PWC website. Our methodology. So this is what each district goes by. This is really telling you how we score, okay? So if there's only one takeaway that you have today, get familiar with how our district scores projects. In that packet, it tells you, based on the age, based on the useful life, there are points or negative points that apply. And that's how our district's going to grade your project. So self-score, self-score, self-score. While I'm thinking of it, I have had a couple of people call already about gravel roads. And I talked to Abby about this, and it's been a popular question, especially for you Knox County folks. But the answer is, if you can find an engineer that will put his stamp on the project as a 7-year useful life, then you can apply for it. However, I want to caution you, there is no guarantees that it will score very high. So if there are any other ways, even chip and seal, maybe in the future we want to do some paving, that is going to get you further than saying we want to put gravel down. Oh no, go back. Okay, so we have the timeline. The most important things for the people that are in the room today, October 4th is the application deadline. You can mail it, you can drop it off to us. We're on the first floor when you walked in to the left, and we will be accepting them up until 4:30 that day. So after October 4th, then our committee gets together. We actually haven't set those dates yet, but we will start going through your applications. We start scoring them at like the beginning of the year, because there are a lot of things that go into scoring before the committee ever gets them. So we'll score those, and then we prepare them to send over to OPWC in the early part of the year. And then May, June timeframe, you'll get a pre-award letter sent out to your community, and then July 1 is when the funds are available. So your projects must be ready to proceed by, the new funding round, which starts July 1. Okay? Any questions so far?
How many copies of the app do you need?
What's that?
How many copies of the application?
Did Sue do 2 or just the 1?
I'm not sure. It's
2? Is that?
district.
Okay. So from the floor, I'm being told 2 copies.
Jill,
Yes, sir.
in the past, there's been 1 original and 2 copies in a 3-ring binder.
Okay. From the back.
And it should say in the methodology somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is.
It's in the methodology guide or the...
Yeah. It hasn't changed. I'm the one that's going through the first round too. Isn't that exciting? So I came in December, and I was able to go through the scoring with the integrated committee and the executive committee, but I actually haven't been part of this beginning of the cycle yet. So some of us are going to learn together. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
It's more of a comment because we deal with a lot of townships. I would
Yes.
highly recommend that they also, we would always bring an extra copy, like I said, if you require 2, we would bring 3 and take 1 back with us.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know what you submitted,
Mhm.
track, keep a copy of what you actually submitted.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we get questions from townships on, what about this or that? And I'm like, well, what did you put in your application?
Yeah. I would say that's highly recommended because we do get questions, you know, when we last applied or, you know, did our township community apply? And then that's a great recommendation that somebody is a resource that says, yes, we put in an application. Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question that says on your green folder
Mhm.
about putting the application in here
Mm-hmm.
and not the 3-ring binder.
So the 3-ring binder is really an internal mechanism. So if you are, say you're dropping it off, send it in the green folder. If you're mailing it, you can just mail it in a regular manila envelope. Those 3-ring binders are really for us to organize your documents with. So
which do we do, this or the 3-ring binder?
So if you're dropping it off in the green folder, because we have the binders already, we have them by every township, city, and village in the whole district. We put them in there. So just the green folder if you're dropping it
Give
off.
us a receipt that you received.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
And
Yes.
I'm sorry, you gotta go slow for me. 3-ring binders are a thing of the past, is that right? I just wanna make sure I understand. Because we did always bring 2 3-ring binders with us.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of the 3-ring binders. Those will be something that, like I said, us internally, we organize your documents by.
You
So
want it hole punched and paper clipped, just loose?
if you want to do that, if not, we'll take care of it.
Okay.
I think we'll do whatever works for you. I think that's
Yeah, just, okay, to answer your question, have it prepared to go into a 3-ring binder. Because what I want to be able to do is literally flip through quickly and check whether or not all of your documents are there. I don't want to have to go through different tabs and things like that. I just want to be able to flip, flip, flip. Any other questions? Richard, you look like you have a burning question.
Oh, no,
Huh.
that's good. We don't want to.
So how many in here think that they might have a road project? And give me maybe someone who wants to volunteer a description of that project. Yes.
We're looking to widen the road, township road, not old, probably half-mile at most.
Okay.
But it's going to be necessary to get a bank that needs to be taken out in cooperation with local landowners.
Good. Anyone else that wants to share?
And the Knox County engineer's already got the project underway, and he's doing a great job.
Woohoo! You're only saying that because he's sitting here, right? I knew it.
That's maybe a good question. What
Yes.
if you get something that involves right of way? Does all that gotta be cleaned up before the application goes in?
I would say yes. I mean,
It's part of the timeline check.
Yeah.
We have to say whether or not we're gonna get right away and we're gonna have it done by this. It's scored different.
Yeah.
Scoring methodology.
So if you don't have it done, you're going to want to work on that.
Yeah, maybe in process or something to that effect.
What do you mean by cleaned up?
Not cleaned up as it's required.
Fine easement.
You know, if we need a temporary easement for grading or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
We're not
Within
putting any
that first
structure.
year,
Mm-hmm.
we look to have everything bid out and awarded. You can, I just clarified this, we had a question about this recently. Acquisition costs are an eligible prepaid item, so you can.
They're eligible?
An
Okay.
eligible prepaid, so you can't start construction before July 1st, but you can do engineering and right of way before July 1st, so that you can get started quickly on July 1st.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So do you all know who your engineer on the jobs are going to be? I mean, just want to make sure that you know who to go to. For counties, usually you go to your county engineer. Who do you guys use?
All of it.
Yeah, so there are some folks that use private firms as well. So if that's something that you haven't thought of yet, there are private firms out there that do our projects. Okay, example of either a water or sewer project. Anyone want to share what their project's going to be? No, because John's not here. Who said they were having a water or sewer project? Raise your hand.
We just completed one in Danville.
Okay.
I think we went to the state for funding on that. It's a Sager system. I think it might be the only one in the state, right? I don't know a whole lot about it. I know how it's kind of built. I'll ask our administrator how that was exactly funded. I don't understand that very well.
Yeah, I'm not a water or sewer person, but the biggest thing to understand is what your rates are. And there are samples of calculations in your packet. So I would say that majority of our projects are roads, wouldn't you say?
You know, we increased our water rates to help on that.
Okay.
Our impact fees and our improvement.
Yep, absolutely. Any other questions? This is really just a refresher because a lot of you have been through this before. There are not very many changes that have happened. So if you have, you know, the construction background and maybe haven't done it for a while, you'll be just fine. Plus, you can always call me if you have any questions. Something that I did want to mention is that OPWC is out of emergency money. So there's none of that available. But you're encouraged to still apply. So when funding is available, you can get in there quickly. So anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, I can add a few things just from the OPWC perspective. First of all, if you're doing a project with us this year, you may or may not have noticed that we are no longer requiring a request to proceed. So that form that you're so used to filling out on July 1st of every year, now you can hop onto the website. There's a drop down there, I think it's under project administration, and it says check vendor status. And when you have awarded your project, you're going to go on there and you're going to make sure that your vendor is set up within our accounting system. The whole purpose of the request to proceed really from our end was to ensure that when you wanted us to pay your vendor, they were already set up in the system. So now we're just eliminating the form and you're double checking that before you enter into a contract. If they're not in the system, most of them are, we're finding, but if they're not, you are going just to direct them to the Ohio Shared Services website and they self-register there. It takes about 5 to 7 days and then we can pay them immediately after that. So a little bit less paperwork hopefully for you guys to fill out. Another thing I wanted to suggest, you may or may not have hopped onto our website yet. If you're putting in an application, you're definitely going to be hopping onto our website here soon. The website, all the documents on this checklist that Jillian mentioned, they're all on our website for you to download. The application itself is a fillable PDF. So we would encourage you to download the PDF first, save it to your computer, and then go ahead and fill it in. Because if you try to fill it in straight from the website, you might have some quirky issues. But from there, I was going to suggest on the homepage of our website, if you scroll down just a little bit, there's a box and it says sign up for our email mailing list. If you have not already done so, sign up for it because that's how you're going to find out things like policy changes, the request to proceed update. That's really the only way that we can communicate in mass to the state what we're doing and what has changed. You can sign up on that page for the infrastructure program, our Clean Ohio program, as well as our loan program, which I also oversee. So if you have a loan with us, you can have your invoice notifications mailed to you. Or if you're applying for a loan with us, that's another way for you to know that when time comes to repay, your invoice is in your inbox and ready to download. The final and kind of exciting thing that I kind of mentioned to the integrating committee just a few weeks ago was that we have things changing in how you apply in the next few years. I doubt that it won't change anything for this year. I highly doubt it will change anything for next year, but I would very much believe that within 2 years, the way you apply to us for funding will look very different. We are building currently a big project with the Office of Information Technology. Through the state of Ohio, we have an OIT department who is building an internal portal for us. So what will happen is you will jump onto our website and you will sign in, and the application, the PDF application that you currently fill out will now be something you're submitting online to our office. It will eliminate hard copies being dropped off or mailed in, and everything will just be sent electronically. It will come directly to your liaison. She will score them with your integrating committee, and then once it's been voted upon, it will be transferred over to our office. So you should expect that in the next few years, things will change just a little bit, but hopefully for the better. We know that smaller communities or those without internet access might have some troubles in the interim. So what we'll try to do with that is just, accommodate as best as we can. So updates from our end. If you have any questions, just let me know.
See, I'm only preparing you to get rid of these binders. Right? I will have to say that, most of the grant applications that we do nowadays, they are on an online platform. And what's so fantastic about it, and I think OPWC is really working hard to do, is if you're missing something, you're going to get a notification. And it's not going to let you submit until you have all of the items. So that's, I think, is something really exciting because then you don't have to worry about whether or not you put your correct piece of paper in or not.
And that portal too is going to be something, it's not just for applying, it will be for your entire project management. You're submitting your disbursement requests, if you have schedule changes, if you have project official changes where you're mailing all of those into us now, you will log into your specific area, you'll see all of your grants, and you will go in and administer them from there. And it will also help us, I don't know how many of you have gotten the emails from me, why hasn't your project started? We haven't seen a disbursement in 6 months, that type of thing. Those will come electronically from me through the portal to your email, reminding you that you need to go in and make an update. So it's not just the project application, it's overall administration from start to finish.
Yes. Another thing that I wanted to add, because I am getting a lot of questions about it, is that, I get a lot of calls about, do I change this, or who do I go to if the scope has changed but the money hasn't changed, or something like that. So the key thing to remember there is if your project has been awarded, the administration part is handled by OPWC. So you can call Abby, she can answer it. If she believes, hey, this is a district-wide decision, then she'll send it back to us. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because if it has anything to do with your project that you've been awarded, you may need a change or something like that, call OPWC directly. I know it gets kind of confusing. So I just wanted to put that little tidbit in. Someone asked me if I was going to give any tips about things that score well. I will say that if you do a grant loan option, that's, really exciting. If you're looking more towards a loan, then that is possible. So I know that maybe in our district in the past, getting a loan, more than 50% of the loan, you can do that. See, I told you to be short and sweet and to the point. I printed off all those things for you as a resource. Again, refer to our website. It is brand new. It's got some great features at the top. You can go and find your district. We're 17, and on the left-hand side you'll find these materials. There are samples of water sewer projects. I just happened to print off roads because I think most people are into doing road projects. And again, October 4th is the due date. Any other questions? What I would like to do is if you don't have any questions, you can go on about your day. If you do have questions, you want to stick around, you might want to talk to somebody else here that's done projects before. I kind of want you to network and kind of talk things through, because I think that's more beneficial than someone saying this is what you need to do. Yes?
The only other thing, and I brought this up to Sue in the past, there's the engineer's project status certification
Yes.
form that we sign off on.
Yeah.
There are a few items on there that were kind of confusing.
Okay.
Asking 2 questions all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not sure to check it yes or no. An example on that form, it's got easements complete and recorded.
Yes.
One side kind of asks, is it complete? And the other side asks, is it necessary for this project? So, one could be, the answer to one might be yes, and the other one might be no. So, that form, and I remember talking to Sue, she said, there's another form that they use maybe for small cities or small government that actually was a little more clear than this particular form to sign off on. If you go down through it, it's to be completed, easements complete and recorded, you could say, yes, they're there, we're using existing right of way. Is it necessary for this project? Well, maybe it's no, we don't have to go get it easements because we're in existing right of way.
Okay.
So, some of
I
those
see
are
what
just a
you're
little
saying.
confusing on, you're asking, is it completed? Then you're asking, is it necessary for this project? And I think
Sure.
there again, if you refer back to the small governments form that they use, it's a little more clear there, type thing. I have brought this up to Sue in the past, I think.
Okay.
It's just a little wording technicality. It's one of those things we're not really sure how to
How to
as
answer
engineers
that.
signing off on this, how we're supposed to
Sure,
check it.
sure. I don't know, Abby, if you have any clarification.
Or other districts, what form they
Yeah.
use? Is there a standard form out there for
There's
you?
not, this is specific to District 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an integrating committee member, I would say that you guys can definitely make changes to this, but you could also put some sort of a note on there if you wanted to, but this is specific to District 17.
The general information packet is where the engineer project status form is, in case you wanted to check it out.
I'm going to touch on small government at all.
You want to touch on small government?
Does anybody have any questions specifically about the small government process and how that works? Or have you ever been submitted as a small government applicant?
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a crash
Yeah,
course on it?
So after the district scores all of their projects, there's going to be a line drawn with the contingency funding that's saying who didn't get funded. The integrating committee chooses 7 projects of communities, populations below 5,000 that they believe would score well in the Small Government Commission. The Small Government Commission is kind of viewed as a second chance for funding within our agency. Our director and former administrator, Linda Bailiff, administers the Small Government Commission. And basically, it's taking your application, giving it back to you, and saying, here's a whole different set of methodology, the small government methodology that's also on our website. You have 30 days. She'll send you an email. So let me back up. The district will vote on which projects they want to send up. 5 of them are going to be the main projects, and then there's 2 contingency projects. Once Linda has that list, she will send all 7 applicants an email, letting them know that they have 30 days to remedy their application based off of the small government methodology. She will give you the methodology and all the documents, and it's your responsibility to look it over thoroughly and ensure that everything you need is in that application. Within 30 days, you're sending it back to her. You can change it as much as you need to. Okay, so it's kind of like starting from a blank slate. You're going to change the method or change the application, send it back to Linda, and it's scored at the small government level. There is a small government committee within OPWC made up of, I think, 6, 7 different people throughout the state of Ohio that are going to be scoring it, voting on it, and then awarding it funding. So it's a separate pot of money and a separate chance for small communities with populations under 5,000 to apply for the funding that they didn't get the normal district round. So if by chance you are one of the small government applicants that gets notified by the district and then by Linda Bailiff that you're eligible, that's kind of starting the process over, but it follows the same July 1 release date. It's just a separate pot of money. So if you get to that point, you know, you're always welcome to contact us with any questions.
Yes. Richard?
Has the scoring criteria changed for small government
It has.
on
It
our
has.
website?
It is. So if you jump on our website, it's under funding programs. I wish I could pull it up and show you guys. On our new website, it's under the small government page, and there is actually just a PDF solely devoted to changes to small government methodology. It's an interesting side note. Linda, after taking on as director this year, which you may or may not know, Michael Miller retired. Linda Bailiff is our new director. Linda has tasked herself with going through every single methodology in the state of Ohio and giving feedback as to ORC requirements and making sure that everybody's being as transparent as possible with applicants. And they did that same exercise with the Small Government Commission this year as well. So they did make some changes. So if you are a regular applicant, then you definitely want to familiarize yourself with those changes before applying.
I would pull it up, but I don't even have the,
No.
oh, I do have the internet hooked up. Oh, I do. Let's see. Oops.
Jillian, I have another question.
Yes.
How does District 17 select the 5 candidates for small government? Is it below the line and it's the next 5 that qualify for 5,000 under? Or is there some other methodology that District 17 is going to use to select the 5 plus 2 alternates?
Do you guys have a small government committee? You should. Don't you have a small government committee?
I don't know if unless it's in the, what is it called, the executive committee, subdivision of that.
I'm not aware of.
That's an important question.
Yeah.
Because it would may determine how I fill out a couple of applications.
I think if I'm correct from what Sue did in the past, I think all the eligible contenders below the funding cut line with populations of 5,000 or less are siphoned off. And then don't hold me to this, but I really do think that they pull out the methodology and they score the projects with the small government methodology, and then they send up the ones that score the highest. But I'm not positive on that, but I think that's what they
I believe that's correct.
I think that's what Sue did, but I could get that answer for you.
Did you want to pull up yours? For those of you that haven't visited our website, here it is. I'm under District 17 right now, and over to your left is the items that we're talking about today. My information is up there as well.
My email.
Oh, yep. Like,
You'll scroll down this main page. You'll scroll down, and right here, sign up for email notifications. You click on the sign up button right there. Can everybody see? Right there. And sign up here. And then you can tell us which lists you want to be on. Clean Ohio Infrastructure, and then loan recipient updates. As far as small government goes, you'll go to all programs, infrastructure programs, right here, this link right here, that's where our application is. And then small government's right down here. And Linda has completely laid out the summary of changes for round 34 in a real nice PDF document right there for you to peruse. The applicant's manual is also there for small government. The one thing that we encourage you to do the most is read it.
Yeah.
That should go without saying, but really take the time to read it, because the majority of the questions and the majority of the issues that come up are from people who don't take the time to read it.
And again, if you need that printed off, please let me know.
Yeah. So that's all that, and then on here is where you can
Yeah,
find
I
the
was gonna-
infrastructure
yep.
application. And real quick, while I have you, the request to proceed, if you're talking about your request to proceed, this link right here, check vendor status, that's where you're gonna go in and has all the vendors listed. So if if you're looking for, just the first one, Kokosing, you type in Kokosing, it pops up. And then you can see that they're in there. Yes.
I have a question. So if you're doing a project with another township, you only need to submit one application, but just have, like, the government that you're doing it with, the only thing they need is the, like, the resolution from their, is that what you're saying?
You would need a cooperative agreement with them?
Mm-hmm.
So is that a different application,
Nope.
or?
It's on our website, on that same page, where you're applying for funding.
It does have the checklist on.
So, with all of the information, all the documents, and scroll down, we have so in the actual, right here in the application instructions, that has all of the required documents in that. Or you can just go straight down,
At the bottom
and there's
there.
this cooperative agreement for multiple jurisdictions. It pops up as a PDF,
Maybe.
maybe. Is it a Word doc?
Word.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I open it? It's not opening.
Slow.
Open.
There it goes.
And you can just fill it in from there. It's just basically spelling out the terms. It's a very simple document. It's spelling out the terms of who's paying what at what percentage and what dollar amount. And that's really the only difference for a multi-jurisdictional agreement. You'll submit 2 authorizing legislations, one for yours and one for them. You're going to submit 2 CFO certification letters, one for your share, one for their share, and then you're going to submit the cooperative agreement.
On that cooperative agreement, who all is required to sign off?
It's usually the CEO on the project, so whoever you're designating as the CEO should sign it.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I did want to mention that was a little bit different since I've been on board, when you get, we get an Excel spreadsheet that lists how all of the communities scored. We get the contingencies and all that. We actually do not get a letter to our office like you do. It goes straight to the applicants. So if you do have a question and you're like, hey, we're trying to prepare for next year, did we make the cut? I can look that up and say, well, looks pretty good. Wait until you get your award letter, but it looks pretty good, okay? I did have a lot of calls this year, and we did not get the same letters that you did, so. Yes?
So this application checklist has everything they need to apply?
Yes.
All of these things have to be checked off and then just green?
If there are things that aren't applicable for the project, then of course you don't need to attach those items.
We were
Yes.
talking about the self-scoring.
Yes.
You know, if you go down through it.
Mm-hmm.
There's some areas where you have discretionary points.
Mm-hmm.
I guess on a conservative end, you'd assume 0, but maybe you assume you get half of the discretionary
Mm-hmm.
points. Because that's one of those things, you're just guessing on what you're gonna get off as far. Maybe you can explain how
Right.
discretionary points work and that kind of thing.
It's really up to our committee at the end of the day, but what, excuse me, as the person who's reviewing those documents, you know, I'm probably going to say, okay, this is where I think it is, and then I'll put that onto the committee. So for an individual who's doing the application, I would say, yes, think like you're going to get at least some points for it, okay? Because we're going to take it and we're going to look at it and say, okay, this is where you stack up. But again, at the end of the day, that will ultimately be up to the committee. Just make sure that you have everything, and you know, everything that's on the checklist that Natalie just mentioned. And if you're saying, okay, we don't know what the score is that's going to get you funded, we don't know that. But, you know, do the best that you can with having all of your documents together, and that's probably your best bet. Anything else? I think it'd be a good time to wrap up. If you would like to stick around and ask us some questions, say, hey Jillian, I would like for you to print me off a piece of paper because I don't have access. Please let me know. I'll take your name down and get that to you. I have business cards in the back if you don't have my email address by chance. So Natalie's got those. You can call anytime. And if that's it, you're free to go. Thank you.